Welcome back. Sorry for the crazy face. So we've got our template open. I've already imported the movie. This is the start of chapter 3, right? DAW skills, and particularly logic skills. So step 1, this first little bit is about SMPTE, SMPTE, and also it's about scene markers. We know about markers. If we click this little drop down here, we get a range of sort of types of markers to look at. Tempo markers are important, obviously, because they transition the tempo speed, which we're going to look at shortly. We've got markers, just sort of generic markers. Markers, you can skip to them using your number pad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and it skips to that point. Very useful. Super useful when it comes to film. Now, it's worth noting, this movie clip I've got in here is in SMPTE time. It means it's basically in real time. It's locked. It's in proper time. It's it won't change. It won't compress or expand in tempo or time, no matter what I do to the tempo of the arrangement of the project. And you can do that obviously with any other bit of audio, bit of MIDI. You can change its settings so that it doesn't sort of stretch according to the tempo if it's changed, and vice versa. So you can lock stuff in place. You can do that with markers too, and we're just going to pop through that. One interesting thing about that Logic can do is this sort of auto scene markers, where it looks at your movie, assesses where there are big visual changes, so scene cuts and stuff like that, and it puts a marker in for you. If you just have a look at scene markers in the search, so if you go to navigate other, you can explore these and find out what they do. If we choose to do the entire movie, we'll see what happens. Ready? So it's searching for scene cuts. So it's looking, literally visually analysing the movie and noting when things are changing in the image. I suppose I wanted to show you this, but I want to ask you the question, is this useful or not? Because often this process will generate way more markers than you really need, and I'll demonstrate that now. It will pick up almost every camera angle change, and I mean that can be fun. If you have it's like a fight scene or a chase scene, there's loads of cuts, and maybe you want to go every cut, then it's super useful to have these. Otherwise, it's less so. Let's check it out. We've got a big amount of markers here, 63. This little clock sort of thing at the side means that it's SMPTE locked, alright? Scene markers are. I can convert it to a standard marker, which will then just link to the bar. All the markers stay in their relative positions to the video, right? So, and I can use my keypad to just jump around. So straight away we got the first marker is the start of the film. Second marker is the first cut. Number 2, so number 3, literally it picks up every scene change. You sometimes get a problem, like here, it's picked up sort of 2.
Dig up dinosaurs.
And you can see here, this vertical play bar is scrolling through these. So these are basically the same, aren't they? 4 and 5. So I don't need one of those. I can just highlight it, I just press delete. That was it. And it changes the numbers of all the other markers, pulls everything back.
Sorry?
See 5? Notice it's just cutting cameras. Camera angles. It's hilarious.
You'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm. He suffers from a deplorable excess of personality.
Notice it hasn't picked up, so that's a useful one. And then scene 8. So this is potentially useful. You can leave them in there, or I think for me often I would go through and delete the ones I don't want. So for example, that's fine. I don't really need these changes. I'll tell you what it's useful for. It's useful for, I'll show you what it's like when you do something every scene change.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?
Well, you'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm. He suffers from a deplorable excess of personality, especially for a mathematician.
Chaotician, actually.
That'll do. I was just improvising. So I just hit every change.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?
It's like a murder mystery, right?
You'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm. He suffers from a deplorable excess of personality, especially for a mathematician.
Chaotician, actually.
It's kind of funny. You could imagine if that was like a very busy scene and it's going bum 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 every scene shot, particularly in scenes where it's like the camera's on one person. What do you mean? Back to the other person. I meant this. Really? If you're going bum bum bum, it's effective. In this instance, perhaps less so. It's funny because during a camera cut, it's rare that people are actually talking during the cut. Obviously it'd be just after and then it cut and then the next person speaks, so you can make a noise there and it won't interfere. So I'll leave this up to you whether when you use this auto selection tool. I think that was it. Let me just double check my notes. Just pretend this isn't happening. Okay, one other thing. I consider that scene. This scene is like the big reveal. The island. It's number 8. So you can put your own markers in and then turn them into scene markers, which are SMPTE locked. The other thing you can do, obviously, because I've moved the play bar to that point, I could easily add a tempo marker at that point without having to worry about sort of trying to manually get it in at the right place. A couple of tips about scene marking there. I'll let you play with that. Okay, sayonara.